It's showtime.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
You know, the right to bear arms is because that's the last form of defense against tyranny.
Washington is fundamentally corrupt. There are more words in the IRS code than there are in the Bible.
Made in America, heard round the world. You're listening to Blunt Force Truth. I'm Chuck Woolery, along with Mark Young, and our topic today is hypocrisy, and Lord knows there's enough of it. I was thinking the other day, listening to Nancy Pelosi complain about, kind of complain about the new left congressmen that have come into under her wing, and they're so distraught. They're pulling the Democrats so far left. Folks, the Democrats have been left since Woodrow Wilson, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I mean, you name the Democrat, they've always been left. They've always tried to change the Constitution. They've always tried to change the Bill of Rights. They don't like this country the way it was founded. They never have, and that's who they are. And now they're out of the woods, and everybody knows it. And now they're trying to get back under the covers and say, no, we're for the middle class. They're not for the middle class. They've never been for the middle class. They just say they're for the middle class, and then they destroy it. Just like Venezuela. All you got are rich people and really poor people. California, New York, rich people, really poor people. The middle class just gets, sloughed off because you got to have those underlings to support all the rich people, and the middle class gone. That's what they do. It's who they are.
Well, socialism lives on only two classes, Chuck.
That's right.
There's no middle class in socialism.
No, that's why I say the Democrats have always been socialists. They've always been that way.
You've got the people who run the socialist government, and then you have everyone else.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
And they stand in bread lines. And Bernie Sanders, breadline Bernie, says it's better to stand in a bread line. Did you see this? He said it's better to stand in a bread line than to only have the rich people getting the bread.
Yeah, right. But he'll be one of the rich people, along with, there'll be corporate people who are rich, and they always have to have their tax support until they run out of money, like Venezuela, or they completely screw the whole system up. Within 10 years, everybody's, in trouble. But it sounds very appealing, all that free stuff that's never free. And, they just move on and take advantage of ignorance.
Well, right now you have Rashid, Omar, and Ocasio-Cortez, who are battling for Speaker of the House.
Yeah,
Nancy Pelosi is like a bystander on the side of the road right now.
I know. I mean, a bartender, and
they have completely taken control of the narrative.
They have taken control of the narrative. That's true, because they're different. They're new, and the mainstream media promotes them because they love them.
The Democrats have now decided that it is okay to be anti-Semitic.
Without saying it, they've said it. And, of course, they'll never say it. They'll always, dance around it and everything else. But basically, this stupid law, you can't, it's against the law to hate now, right? Or it was a resolution. It's not a law, but it's against the law, or against the resolution to hate. So I guess
No. Wait a minute.
Oh.
There's one group missing in that resolution.
Well, conservatives?
Conservatives, white males. You can hate white males.
You can hate us, and you can hate Trump. So there you go. It's stupid. It's just ridiculous. This phony junk that they do in Washington all the time. It's so out of control. Mm-hmm. And the Republicans, their job is to kowtow to everything the Democrats say. You ever notice how the Republicans apologize profusely for everything? Steve King, they pull him out of his committee, and the Democrats never apologize for anything. And I'll tell you why. Folks, here's the deal. The Democrats are at war for taking this country over and controlling it and being the power. That's what they're at. The Republicans are not at war. They're submitting to their job is just to submit to the power of the Democrats. That's why I've always said
they're the Rodney Kings of government.
I don't get no respect.
No, that's Rodney Dangerfield. I'm talking about Rodney King, the guy that got beat up. Remember? Okay. Can we all just get along? That's the Republicans. They are so. Here's the thing. They are so hell bent and in fear of being called a racist or a homophobe or whatever, that when these people lob these lies at them, they run for the freaking hills instead of just standing up there and calling it out for what it is.
And the funny thing about it is they are so rebellious to Trump because that's exactly what he does. He fights back. He talks back. He talks to him. He lays it on the line, and it's not their style. It's not what they do. So they hate his style, and it reveals just how impotent they really are. And it's funny. The founding fathers said they didn't say it was up to Trump to clean up the swamp. They didn't say it was up to the government to clean up the swamp. They said it's up to us to clean up the swamp. And if we don't do our job and pay attention and be vigilant and be informed, then we'll never clean up the swamp. But we can do it as the public, we're the ones that run this government. We elect all these people.
I know, but look at the people we're electing.
But that's my point. We've been doing it for years.
I mean, Omar Rashid Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez this week tweeted how important the Girl Scouts were.
Yeah.
Now, here's what she said. When she was in the Girl Scouts, that's when she learned how to change her brake fluid. Yeah, okay, step one. When have you ever changed your brake fluid?
And in the Girl Scouts, seriously? I mean, what did you go to, mechanical Girl Scouts?
But when do you, again,
automotive Girl Scouts? They have an automotive program?
In the Girl Scouts is where she got her change your brake fluid merit badge. Okay.
Stop. Oh,
I'm not making this up.
Oh, okay. Well, it may be true. I don't know. Maybe there is a merit badge for change.
You don't change your brake fluid.
No, you take it to a brake guy and let them change it.
Then the second thing she did in the Girl Scouts is she said, and in the Girl Scouts, she recreated the Challenger disaster.
I don't even understand that.
She recreated a space shuttle blowing up in the sky while she was in the Girl Scouts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and survived, by the way.
Good. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, and 60,000 people liked that tweet that she put out.
You know what? This woman is so ignorant. It's just amazing. I was watching her today on some show. I don't know what show it was. Because I kind of watched CNN and MSNBC and Fox all together. I switched.
I can tell you've got a little gray hair coming in. I can spot it.
And I was watching her explain what capitalism was. Well, it was a total joke. She needs to go to Milton Friedman and just on YouTube and look and let him explain what capitalism is to her. She has no clue what it is.
Well, of course, I am struggling that this woman is even for real. I'm just thinking that it's a joke, that she's just punking the whole country.
Yeah, well, she's just another cute face. It's like Beto coming in. He looks like the Kennedys, so they think he's going to be, a winner.
Okay, but you changed your brake fluid? I mean, does she not have anybody on her staff that can at least look at this stuff and say, hey, you don't change your brake fluid. Don't tweak that.
Yeah, I got a feeling anybody on her staff's not going to say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Because number one, I mean, she gets on these shows and she talks and just shows the level of ignorance that she has. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, she also said that we should not be fearing robots.
I'm going to tell you what's behind all that. She said we shouldn't be fearing robots. They're going to take over jobs. Just accept it. That's the way it is. And you're going to be out of a job. So basically what she's saying is the way the socialist state works, if you're not working, that's fine. The state will take care of you.
Well, that's why she says that's the reason we have this irrational fear of robots, because we live in a society where if you don't have a job, you don't have any money.
Yeah, well, that's normally the way it works. But, with her, everything is so abnormal that who knows?
Well, she has a solution to this.
Yeah, what was that?
We're going to tax robots at 95%. I'm not making this up.
No, I know. It's just insane.
We're going to tax the robots.
Yeah.
So when you lose your job, so think about this, Chuck. Someday we're going to get a robot, Chuck Woolery, to do this podcast.
Right.
You will be able to sit home and Robot Chuck.
And write my check for the taxes.
Exactly. No, Robot Chuck will actually be earning your wages.
Right.
And the government will send you the check.
Right.
How fat is everybody going to be, you think? How fat is everybody going to be?
Yeah,
if
really.
You're sitting around
I've
just
gained
being
20
a robot.
pounds myself.
Here's the problem. Folks, if you're listening to us on Twitter, by the way, reach down and click the retweet button right now and certainly put your questions and comments in. Chuck, here's one of the big things that these people are just grossly missing. And that is, as humans, as people, we derive value. We derive much of our value as a human from our work.
From our accomplishments, the things that we accomplish daily.
And when you take that away from us, what do we have? You know, she's not understanding. When you look at profit, they think profit is a dirty word. Ethically earned money.
I'm convinced they think work is a dirty word.
Yeah. Ethically earned money is the byproduct of bringing value to other people. Right?
Yeah, sure.
If you don't bring value to other people, you don't get money. Mm-hmm. They don't understand this. They understand not bringing value to people. They understand you should get money for not bringing value.
Do you think that they really understand that? Or it's just some kind of magical ruse that they're trying to pull on everybody? I mean,
think it's
this
nonsense.
this whole new generation from 35 down, maybe, they feel put upon, they're victims. Everybody's a victim. I can't get a job and I've got this college education and I'm in debt. And, by the way, the government set all this up so you'd be like that. I mean, geez, college tuition's through the roof because the government supports it, but nobody understands the fundamentals of what's gone wrong here.
Stop borrowing $100,000 to go to college and work your way through school.
No kidding. Or, get another job. Not in some, weird, I don't know, Indian studies or whatever. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, that would be studying Elizabeth Warren then, right?
Whatever. I mean, they just have so many courses that they're so meaningless. Nobody's prepared for really to take on the job and be in the real world. They all live in this kind of fantasy land. Nobody's learning how to do anything anymore or learning anything about anything. I mean, learn to code.
So here's what we want to do now. The Democrats want to lower the voting age to 16.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Along with making it so that all ex-felons can vote and all illegal aliens can vote. That seems like such a fair and balanced idea. I can't think of anything that could go wrong. It wouldn't. Okay. It's not like it would help one party more than the other.
So this is the dream of the Democrats, is to have complete and total power with no opposition, period. And the Republicans are going, well, we might go along with that. It makes you sick, really. Are you taking pills while we're doing this show?
I'm taking my vitamins as we're here because this is. Remember, I'm the host of Living Beyond 120. Yeah, I have to keep my vitamins.
Just take a break and tell people how many vitamins you take a day. Just tell them. How many? How many?
It's in excess of 100.
Okay. This is why while he talks, he's popping these things in excess of 100 vitamins a day. Well, there's got to be something wrong with that, but I'm not sure what. Anyway, in the meantime, so
I did get an invite from the TV show My Strange Addiction to be a
I'll bet. So. But people that take more than that, right?
I do.
Yeah,
I do know some people who take more than that, but and I do all kinds of things. I use all kinds of strange lotions and potions and inject myself with all kinds of things.
Oh my gosh. This is my best friend.
They're all quasi-legal though, folks. Don't worry.
So anyway, with all this hypocrisy that's going on, we always ask ourselves, what can we do about it? What can we do? What can I personally do about it? Do I just have to complain about it, live with it? And the secret to the whole thing and the secret to everything is who you vote for. And if you're disappointed in them, then vote them out of office and vote for somebody else. Put people in who are solid constitutionalists who, I'll give you an example of something. If you're a constitutional conservative, you are truly, and I don't care how the left describes it, you are in the middle. You are right in the middle of the scale. So the scale goes to the far left and the far right. Now, anybody who's a constitutional conservative is described by the left as far right, and also described by the rhinos as far right, or the progressive Republicans as far right. Well, let me give you a quick example of something. If you move to the left from the center of the Constitution, you will find dictators, tyranny, oligarchs, statists. I mean, you have a plethora of, different kinds of lefty governments, okay? If you move to the right of the Constitution, you have one choice. Do you know what that choice is?
I know you're going to tell us.
You don't know, do you?
Constitution.
It's anarchy.
Oh, you're talking about far right. Okay, yeah.
So what they're saying every day is when they could describe a constitutionalist conservative as a far right person, you have to fall into the category of an anarchist. And quite frankly, I don't know anyone on my side of the aisle that is an anarchist. Not one. I know them on the left.
I would take anarchy over socialism.
Well, yeah, well, whatever. But anarchy leaves a vacuum of government, so that doesn't really work. We got to have government.
But socialism just leaves us an entire vacuous group of people running the country.
It leaves us Venezuela. This is another thing. You'll never hear MSNBC and NBC and all of these mainstream media outlets talk about Venezuela and put it in perspective. All they do is talk about what they're going through. They never talk about why they're going through it, because it would expose socialism for what it is, because they're socialists. That's why they're going through this. They're a dictator or a socialist government run by a dictator.
And I want to warn people of something right now. The left has ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, HLN, MSNBC, CNBC, Bloomberg, New York Times, Washington Post,
BuzzFeed.
They've got it all.
Litany. Yeah, right. We have Fox. That's it.
We have Fox News,
Limbaugh,
Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, shows like Blunt Force Truth, and they are trying to get rid of every one of us.
Oh, absolutely. They don't want to debate. They want to shut down debate. They want to overwhelm everybody with their story and make them submit to their story. They do not want to be challenged on any level, because if they are challenged, they will be defeated, and they know it. So the only route they have in order to achieve what they want to achieve is to shut down any kind of debate or dissent.
So their efforts to shut down Blunt Force Truth, which they've attempted many times, has resulted in Blunt Force Truth now becoming a show under the Podcast One banner.
Right. Yeah. We just grown.
Yeah. So we're just growing. So take that.
Yeah.
And Fox News continues to have more ratings than all of those other news outlets combined.
But they won't stop them, because, again, as I say, the Democrats are at war. We are not. You and I are, and Rush Limbaugh is, and Mark Levin is, and Sean Hannity and people like that. They're at war. But the Republican Party as a whole is not at war. They are not engaged in a war. And until they are, it's our only default position. We have to go to the Republican Party. I wish we didn't, but we do. So that's our default position. We have
we're left with
power and vote for the right people and overwhelm the left and defeat it.
We're left with a bunch of so many people on the Republican side have just turned into absolute dish rags. They're just wimps. Meanwhile, Perez, Perez.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Tom Perez. Yeah, he's ahead of the DNC, in case you don't know.
Right. So they basically put a commie and a Islamic terrorist in charge of the DNC. Perez has now issued an order saying that no Democratic debate will take place on Fox News, because
what I
Fox
tweeted
News
out,
is a propaganda arm of the president.
Yeah, right. You know what I tweeted out, don't you? Since he doesn't want Fox News, he's considering the Cartoon Network to moderate all the debates.
Well, they might as well. They've got a whole army of cartoon characters that are playing. Absolutely. I think it's interesting that the top people on their ticket right now is Biden at 28 and Bernie at 25.
Well, the only reason they're there, and you know as well as I do this early, is they're the only ones that have name recognition nationwide.
But it's two old white guys.
Yeah, look.
This is the party of anti-white guys.
You don't understand that makes no difference to them. They don't care. They'll stomp all over their own message and not apologize for it.
So AOC, now remember we talked last week about AOC's scam funneling $900,000?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I looked into that further, and that seems to be really legit.
Mm-hmm. What she did is legit, or what she did?
What she did is criminal.
Uh-huh, yeah. But will she be held responsible?
Well, here's the thing. That falls under the category of the FEC. Okay.
Federal Education Department.
Election Commission.
Okay, the Election Commission. Sorry.
Federal Election Commission.
Mark loves what are those things called?
Acronym.
He loves acronyms. He will have an hour conversation with you using nothing but every other word is an acronym and expecting you to have some clue what the hell he's talking about.
Yes, I'm a code talker. Anyway, so here's the deal. In order to start an investigation at the FEC, you have to have, there are 6 board members that sit on the board of the FEC. Mm-hmm. You have to have 4 out of 6 board members vote to investigate.
Yeah. Are they all Democrats?
The board currently only has 4 members.
Yeah.
2 Republicans, a Democrat, and an independent.
Well, the independents are Democrats. They always hide under that. Yeah.
But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats have been holding up all the president's nominations.
Oh, really?
So the Democrats are holding up the nomination to seat 2 more people on that board, mm-hmm. so that they could investigate AOC.
Right. It's one big jungle out there, isn't it? Just it's everybody's a predator. It's just amazing.
So, I mean, folks, you if you don't pay attention, the amount, the what's the right word for it, Chuck?
I'm not sure where you're going with this, so I don't know. Are you talking about hypocrisy or the amount of
the volume
mm-hmm.
of twists and turns and backroom deals and crooked manipulation of laws in the government is so voluminous.
Yeah.
That you need a an organizational chart the size of a building to try to chart it out.
Well, there's nothing more interesting than listening to someone discuss the new budget and explaining what it is. Explaining what it is, because no one can explain it. It's just too complex. And this is the thing with government that allows them to get away with so much. When you talk about bills that have more, I think the IRS has more words than the Bible does. And the reason for that is the complexity just prohibits people from understanding it on any level. So anytime you try to reduce that down to a simplistic solution, the government will fight you tooth and nail because they want to rape, pillage, and burn you. And if you come up with a simple solution where they can't do that, they will just fight it all the way. So that's what you deal with all the time, is this crazy bills and things that go through Congress that are just huge. No one can understand them. They don't even understand them.
Well, as you're talking about the budget, the president released his budget plan for 2020. Now, check this out. His new budget plan calls for not raising the debt ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember, the Democrats all have a fit because we've had the government shut down
right
over raising the debt ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he puts a budget in that calls for cuts in multiple areas.
Right. Cuts in government, like a 5% across the board, I think.
A small increase in military.
Right.
And he wants people that are getting welfare to have to work 20 hours to get it.
No, you'd have to work. No, that's totally anti-democratic.
He's a monster.
I know. He is such a monster.
So the Democrats who are complaining, because the Democrats have now become fiscal hawks. You notice that they're now all about Trump is overspending.
Well, the first thing out of Schumer's mouth is this hurts the middle class. They always say that. It hurts the middle class.
So he gives them a budget that doesn't require raising the debt ceiling, and Nancy Pelosi says that this budget is cruel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's probably immoral too, because they're so moral. The Democrats are the moral ones, and we're the immoral ones.
They're very moral. That's why Mad Maxine now says that check this out. Mad Max now says don't trust the Mueller report.
Well, of course not. They don't expect anything, a smoking gun to come out of this thing. And it's been all of this time. It looks to me like it's not coming out next week or week after. It sounds like it's coming out in September. Sometime they're funded through September. So why would he give up all that money that the government's funding him to do this stuff and then just turn it over now?
Well, Barr can force it.
Yeah, I guess he could.
He can. He can order him to put the report out.
Mm-hmm. Well, Somebody should somewhere, but they know that this ball game is over, that the collusion thing is a joke, and they're not going to get satisfaction. So they're just going to pound away and talk about how they fought for Barr, and Trump was going to fire him, and we had to wait till it comes to the end, and he was the smartest and greatest guy in the world, and we're so glad that he's doing this investigation. And he got 19 process crimes out of it, and that's about it.
None of them had anything to do with the president or collusion.
I know, but if you listen to CNN and MSNBC, they all had something to do with the president, because they never mention anything that's a process crime or what a process crime is. So most people don't understand it. And so they just assume that everybody will believe, if they don't say anything about it, that it's all about Trump, and it has nothing to do with Trump.
Well, Mad Max says that America should not rely or trust the Mueller investigation to catch Trump, that the nation needs to trust, guess who?
The Democrats.
Congress. They need to trust
Congress is so good at doing this stuff.
Because Congress will get him. She also claims that Congress has the power to pick the president.
Yeah, Adam Schiff is the guy you want to go for, and let Congress pick the president for us. Give me a break.
He looks like an alien to me.
Well, he is an alien.
He is bizarre, and he is the only.
He's a liar. The guy's an absolute liar.
But he's the only person where we actually have evidence of anyone in Washington colluding with the Russians.
Well, no, we have Jerry Nadler.
Well,
Nadler, they got proof of him colluding with the Russians.
But we've got audio tape.
He still has a guy that works for him that is a Russian, but the guy's now in prison in Russia. It's true.
Schiff actually was recorded thinking he was colluding with the Russians.
You know what? Again, I go back to the same. They never apologize. They never, try to, make amends for anything they do. They just go right on. They don't care. Nobody holds them responsible. They cover it up. They pound it with words that are meaningless, and pretty soon everybody forgets.
I'm going to tell you folks right now, you want to get control of this government besides for your vote? Start storming the doors of your congressional and Senate office.
Well, that's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Show up, walk in their offices, and demand change.
Yeah. Take your lunch.
Scares the hell out of them.
Take your lunch with you.
It scares the hell out of them when voters start showing up.
Well, they never do. Voters very seldom do show up at the front door at campaign offices and places like that. They just don't do it. And as long as you don't do it, they'll just keep taking advantage of us. If you start doing it, I guarantee you they'll pay attention to you.
Especially Republicans, because we don't march on Washington and we don't have protests all over the place.
Right.
We're out working. We have jobs and families that we're trying to take care of. So we're not having all of this stuff. So they're not hearing us. They need to hear from you. That's how you're going to get a change. Look at this. Congress has sent 81 subpoenas out to 81 different people and entities who are associated to the president, because they're claiming the fact that we believe the Mueller investigation will not turn up any Russian collusion is evidence that there was Russian collusion. What? Excuse me? A lack of evidence proves there's evidence? Have you seen or heard what's in these subpoenas, Chuck?
No, I haven't really paid any attention to what's in them.
Here's an example of a line item. Provide Congress with copies of all transcripts of all your meetings with Vladimir Putin.
Well, they said that when where did Trump go to have a meeting with Putin? Where it wasn't in Russia, it was someplace else, and he met with him. Helsinki or someplace like that, and they claimed that this was part of the collusion with Trump, and he admitted it, and he's already said that he did, and I mean, it's just nuts. But eventually, this will all work out. I mean, he's going to be reelected in 2020. I'm going to vote for him, and I'm not staying home taking for granted that he'll be elected. But they're going to have to live with him another 4 years. Good luck to them.
I know, but think of this:
another 6 years.
This is, are you still beating your wife, Senator?
Well, that's exactly. The Democrats are coming from a very interesting place. And if you look at the Supreme Court. What's his name? I can never remember his last name. Since
Kavanaugh?
Kavanaugh hearings. It's you're guilty until proven innocent. So the Democrats have literally taken that mantle on, that you are guilty until proven innocent. It is un-American. It is completely against our judicial system, but it is a political weapon that the Democrats use. So they accuse you, they convict you, and then you go to trial and find out, well, nothing happened, but you're accused and convicted in the minds of the American people no matter what happens. And that's exactly how they approach everything.
So you're Sean Spicer. You get a subpoena that says, provide transcripts from all your meetings with Vladimir Putin. First off,
I wouldn't do it. I mean,
if you were having secret meetings with Vladimir Putin, would you have had a
transcript
court reporter there transcribing it for you?
Oh, it's stupid. I don't know whether they can.
How this works? You take a reporter with you?
Yeah. If they had the gall to do that, I would have the gall to just say, go pound sand and see what they do. Then subpoena me and come in. I just plead the fifth. I didn't care. I really don't. I just screw it.
But you get what they're doing. They want the public to hear.
To believe.
Well, Sean Spicer got a subpoena demanding transcripts from Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. And what they rely on people falling for the where there's smoke, there's fire concept. Yeah. Well, they wouldn't they wouldn't be asking for that if they didn't have some kind of idea it existed.
Oh my God, if you listen to these panels on MSNBC and CNN, which I do, it is just amazing what comes out of these people's mouths. I mean, just incredible, the indictments that they make daily.
So are they just morons?
With no support, with unnamed sources and all that kind of stuff. They just make one indictment after another. What did you say?
So here's my question. These people on CNN and MSNBC, they are either, I'm asking you for your opinion, they are either A, complete and utter morons, mm-hmm. or B, they are blatantly lying for the purpose of getting their 5 minutes of fame going after the president. Because you can't believe this crap.
Here's what I believe, and I think that it's part of this. The lifeline of the mainstream media is access. And without access, they got nothing to talk about other than what they can make up. So they depend on the Democrats, which have the strength, no matter who's in office. I don't care if it's a Republican president, Republican Congress, Senate, House, the whole thing. Democrats are still in charge because Republicans always say, that's what you want to do. Okay, we'll go along, which is what they do. So knowing that, whether the press agrees with them or not, it doesn't really matter. The press knows they can go to the Democrats and get the story. And as long as they are good to them, nice to them, support their position, they've always got an open door. And as long as they have an open door, they got free time to just, go at it and give us all the misinformation they want to and all the misinformation the Democrats, spew every day. So that's where they get their sources for their articles and everything, whether they're unnamed or named, it doesn't really matter. So they carry the water for the Democrats because the Democrats in their mind have the power. And so they go to the source of the power. The Republicans don't. I think it's really probably as simple as that. It all boils down to dollars and cents.
But these people, but what I'm saying is that these talking heads, do you think they believe the crap they're saying?
Well,
how many people have you either heard on TV or have directly tweeted you saying that the Mueller Report's going to be out any day and the president and his entire family are going to be in orange jumpsuits?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think a lot of people, believe what they're doing. I mean, believe what they're saying. And, the hate for Trump is so extraordinary that.
Is that it? Are they just blinded by
hatred?
Well,
that's part of it. But the other part of it is power. And that is we want to win and we lost. And so we'll do anything to win. And which is the case for the Democrats and not the case for the Republicans. The Democrats will literally do anything to win. Anything. There are no boundaries.
And you look at CNN. CNN has the airports. CNN has the international contracts.
And CNN has no audience.
But the rest of the world, when the rest of the world looks at American news, they're looking at it through CNN.
Right.
And they think that we have this rogue dictator in the presidency who's colluding with Russia. I mean, if you were not from America and you watched an hour of CNN, what would you think is happening in this country?
Yeah, I agree. And that's if you're a college student or you're and all you watch is CNN or MSNBC, or if you're a young man or young woman who's coming up between their 30s and 40s, and that's all you've ever watched and all you watch now, that's what you're going to believe.
Hey, guys.
Because it's all you have.
Yeah, guys, I've got a lot of comments going on here, and there's a thing going online that's got a lot of attention. You're talking about CNN and the media. Tucker Carlson is under attack right now, and a lot of we're having liberals coming on the show tweeting saying, "Oh, Tucker got fired. Tucker got fired." Of course, it's so far
Tucker's
a lie.
not fired.
It's a lie.
Tucker's not fired. That's what they want. They're trying to get him fired.
What's your thought on this story?
Well, I watched Tucker, his opening last night, and he went through the whole thing and just said, look, I've said some things that maybe were naughty, whatever, 10 years ago on a radio show with some kind of shock jock, which, by the way, I might add, and Mark knows this, I will not do radio with shock jocks, period. Will not do it, right?
Yeah, you won't do it.
I won't do it because they're rotten. So here's the deal. So, he said something. I don't know what he said, and I don't really care what he said, but they've gone back 10 years ago and picked something up. And, of course, it's not with the Me Too movement or not with some movement that's today. And he's a misogynist and he's anti-woman and all this. And Tucker said, screw it, man. I'm not going to apologize to you. I don't owe you an apology for anything because I didn't do anything. So, and Fox backed him up. So
would you guys like to hear any of what he said back in 2006? Does it matter?
Sure. I don't care. I think I've seen it, and it was.
Do you have it, Rusty?
I do. He said a few things. They've released more. So basically, he called in, I guess, once a week for an hour a week on the Bubba the Love Sponge show.
Bubba the Love Sponge.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Bubba was quite out there, and anyways. Here's some of the stuff. It goes back. They found an audio from between 2006 and 2011. Man, you got to have a lot of free time on your hands to go back that far to listen to that much audio.
No kidding.
All right. He said in 2008, everyone's embarrassed to be a white man, before stating that white men deserve credit for creating civilization and stuff. Does that bother you?
Yeah, well, I don't care.
Where's the issue?
I mean, who? Oh my gosh, the white man, the black man. This is so ridiculous. But go ahead.
All right. So then he's talking about Iraq. He said, "quote Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of semi-illiterate primitive monkeys. So that's why it wasn't worth invading. I've got zero sympathy for Iraqi people, their culture, because they don't use toilet paper or forks. They're just awful, awful."
I think that's funny.
Okay, so
okay.
And these are the problems?
Yeah, this is just un-American.
So he does what? He owes an apology to
You know
Iraq
what?
now?
I probably wouldn't say that. I think Tucker says a lot of things that are kind of. Well, you remember when Trump said, I'll give you an example of how they'll take things out of context. Knowing Tucker a little bit as I do, he has a very interesting sense of humor. It's very sarcastic, and some of the things he says are very sarcastic, but it is done in humor. And so he goes way over the edge in order to make his point. So Trump stands on stage and says, "Hey, Russia, if you can find Hillary's emails, let me know, will you? I'd like to see them."
It's a joke.
It's a joke, but there is no humor on the left, and we know that. So the left takes everything at face value, what he said, and it's ridiculous. And on top of that, I'm not going to apologize for Tucker. Let Tucker take care of himself. He can do it very well on his own.
AOC, as you know, Chuck, drove Amazon out of New York, right?
Yeah, she was high. Let me see if I got this right. She was elected by, I think, 16,000 people, and then 2 months later made sure that 25,000 people didn't get a job.
Correct.
Is that close?
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yay. Good job.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This woman's a moron. So I'm going to owe her an apology because I said she's a moron, but I won't apologize. She said, if we have $3 billion to give Amazon, why don't we just use that $3 billion to go help poor people? She's not understanding. It was a $3 billion tax abatement over 20 years. The $3 million doesn't exist.
$3 billion.
Or $3 billion. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, but she didn't know that because she's an economics major out of Boston University.
If I was Boston University,
I would take her diploma back.
My God, I would try to find a way to revoke that.
I'm sorry, this is not really representative of our department. I'm sorry.
Man, I would not want credit for that. That is, can you imagine?
Well, this is what happens when you just kind of go off the cuff and your feelings are involved and you don't involve your intellect to go find out stuff. So you just, knee-jerk reflection on your emotions and your feelings. This is how I feel about this, and this is how I feel about that, with nothing to back it up, because facts get in the way of the truth. You know how that is.
Hiawatha is, and you notice that Hiawatha is chasing Ocasio-Cortez.
You're talking about
Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, changed her name from Pocahontas to Hiawatha. Okay. Chasing her? You mean chasing her saying, can I catch you?
Whatever Cortez says, Hiawatha says, I'll implement if I'm president.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now Hiawatha wants to break up all the big tech companies.
Which probably isn't a bad idea, but I wouldn't want it in her hands.
Well, I thought it was interesting. She's been running ads on Facebook claiming that we should break up Facebook. Then Facebook rejected the ads.
Right, I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
And then she's got upset because Facebook rejected ads attacking them on their own platform. And the soy boys over at Facebook backed up reversed their decision. Oh, we're so sorry. Yes, we'll run ads saying that you hate us and that we should be taken apart. Thank you. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with them?
Well, they, power. You gotta bow to power.
And you know who
politicians have the power.
Oh, absolutely. You know who Al?
Hey, listen, they can hurt you, man. These politicians can absolutely hurt you, and they will.
So you know who Al Green is, right?
Al Green, the music, the singer, Al Green?
No, Al Green in Congress.
Oh, no, I don't know who Al Green. Okay,
black congressman.
Okay.
Black congressman.
Is he with the Black Caucasians?
You mean the Black Caucus? Not the Black Caucasians. That's kind of a.
That's what Rush calls them, the Black Caucasians.
The Black Caucasians. Well, you would be a Black Caucasian.
I would. Yeah, I'm Irish, Black Irish. So
that's right. You would be a Black Caucasian. I'm working on a tan now, so maybe I can get in there. So at any rate, Al Green claims that the president said.
Oh, I know who Al Green is now. He's kind of a wild guy.
He's a lunatic.
Yeah, I know who he is. Okay.
He claims that the president said there are too many people of color in the country now, and that's why we need the border wall, because we got to stop people of color. We've hit our quota. Can't have any more. We got to up the whitey numbers, so we got to put that wall up. And he's telling people the president said this.
Yeah, right.
As if it's a fact. He has no evidence the president said it. There's no tape of the president saying it. He's just saying, no, the president said there's too many people of color in the country. We got to have more whiteys.
Doesn't matter whether he said it or not. They'll make it up and swear he said it. Which is kind of interesting. It's you get to a place where defamation of character, suing for defamation of character, how politicians have literally over the years taken themselves out of the ability to sue them for defecation. What am I trying to say?
I like what
I'm saying.
Defecation
right.
of character.
Yeah. What is it? What's
defamation.
The word? Defamation of character. So,
although it is defecation of character.
I know it. I know. I inadvertently jumped on something that's true.
Freudian slip was showing.
So what happened is you used to be able to maybe not do this federally, but you could do it by state. In other words, the state allowed that. Well, the federal government just came in and, the Congress. This is another thing that Democrats did. They got rid of that. So you can't hold these people for anything. You can't hold them accountable for anything almost. It's just amazing how they run all over our system, and they can say anything they want to say. You can't hold them responsible. Only the voters can hold them responsible, and the voters don't care. A lot of them.
I mean, Mad Max was on TV this week saying we have everything we need to impeach president. We got all the evidence we need.
Right. Yeah. Showing. And
then she also said that, follow with me, Congress has the authority of deciding who the president is, not the voters.
Well, it's just BS,
So we switched over to daylight savings time this week. What do you think of that? Do you like daylight savings time?
I'd rather be on daylight savings time, 24 months out of the year. It just makes sense to me. 12 months out of the year, give me daylight saving. I've been talking about this ever.
And would you want that in all 57 states?
In all 75 states, because we're growing faster than we know. I would want it everywhere. I really like it. And, I think it's better all the way around. And, and I think most people would. I mean, it was implemented back in the 1800s or something for
World
farms.
War I.
Okay, so 1914.
Yes, to save energy. And then it went out, and then it was brought back in World War II.
It really had to do with farming more than anything else.
And then you know who brought it back permanently?
No.
LBJ.
Oh my gosh, my neighbor.
He's the guy that brought it back.
Boy, there's another one.
So you like the daylight savings better than standard time.
Absolutely.
You like the extra hour of light at night.
I do. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The president is in agreement with Chuck Woolery.
Well, I've been saying this for a long time, so I guess he is now.
The president says we should just have daylight savings time all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The Democrats are now against it.
Why?
They're against time now.
When will it ever stop?
They're against time. They're against daylight. They are anti-daylight.
Oh my Lord.
They are anti-daylight now.
You know what? Here's the problem, Mark, and I know we've been over this before, but we hear all of this stuff that's promoted by the New York Times, the Washington Post, all these papers that are going, and thousands of other papers that are going out of business, by the way, and magazines that are going out of business, and MS, the mainstream media, and they keep pumping all this junk at us all the time, and it gets to the point where they want us to just wither and say, look, this is it. It's the end. Nobody can do anything about it. This is what the story is. It's never the story. And we always think the American people think like these massive, giant corporations that are telling them what to think. They all think that. And we always find out, no, they don't. They were convinced that Hillary Clinton couldn't possibly lose that election. And everybody else was convinced she couldn't either. But she did, because people didn't listen to that junk. So that's encouraging to believe that we're not going to be a socialist nation, that we're not going to fall for that. I mean, when I say socialist, we're not going to be any more socialist than we are now, because we have elements that are very socialist in our government. So, and they're all brought on by Democrats, all of it. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, they are now the anti-daylight party. I want to cover something on this socialist thing. I get tweets from people, ignorant people, who tell me that, oh, you don't like socialism, so you don't call the police if you're robbed. You don't call the fire department. You don't drive on roads.
That's not socialism.
Of course it isn't. These people are trying to spread this narrative that government services means socialism. Right. So they're saying, if you think about what these socialists are saying, they're saying anything that is not socialism, to the right of socialism, as you said earlier, must be anarchy.
Right.
So you're
it's anything that's to the right of capitalist or conservatism, constitutional conservatism.
No, I agree with you.
Anything to the right is anarchy.
But they're saying anything that isn't socialism is anarchy. If you think about it,
they're ignorant. They're not correct.
So what they don't understand, and I'm going to try to.
By the way, let me preface this by saying this: the left will always try to convince you that conservative constitutionalists are far right. They are literally in the center. That's where they are. Everything else moves left. Every single thing moves left, with the exception of anarchy. That's the only thing that is right of a constitutional conservative. So that's really how it is.
So here's what I want people to understand when you hear this crap. We are a constitutionally limited republic that is made up of 50 democracies,
right? Which
is made up of county democracies and cities inside those states.
They're all democracies.
Right. So the idea
That's why
behind
it's confusing to people.
The idea that the founding fathers had when it came to things like roads and libraries and police departments and fire departments.
Well, there are state roads and there are federal roads.
But the whole concept was built on the federal government would be the least intrusive government in your life. that you would rarely think of them. You would rarely pay attention to them. That the most important government in your life would be your mayor and council, followed by the county, followed by the state. And that each one of these cities and counties would make decisions based on what that group of people wanted. So if they want a school, if they want a fire department, if they want to have a police department, they're a democracy. The majority will get their way in that city. And if you don't like the way that city runs, you can move to another city.
Right.
The cities would compete. Mm-hmm. The federal government has now encroached upon those rights with things like the Department of Education and Housing and Urban Development and all of these areas. And the way they do that is not because they have the authority. They do it by withholding giving federal money back to these states and cities.
That's exactly
so
right.
They have usurped the Constitution by charging taxes, keeping the money, and now saying, if you don't comply, we won't give you your own money back. Mm-hmm. That's what they're really doing. That is not socialism. Socialism, which they will not tell you people, socialism is the government taking control of the means of production. It means government owns business. They own the airlines. They own the oil companies. They own the drug companies. They own the health insurance. That's socialism. That's what these people want. They want every last one of us to be a serf, a slave to the government. Mm-hmm. And it fails in every place it's ever been done, but it will work this time because the missing element is them.
And that's the thought we want to leave you with today. We thank you for listening to the show. I'm Chuck Woolery. If you like the show, I hope you'll give us a good review. In the meantime, is there anything else you'd like to say, Mark?
No, I'm just getting off my soapbox right now. I'm just stepping down.
And as you step down, we're saying goodbye. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Sorry for our little technical difficulties we had today. We'll clean them up next time, and we'll see you next time on Blunt Force Truth.